We moved to Empire, to a farm with another family, Yamache, and we were living there when we were evacuated after Pearl Harbor, and that was in 1942.
So how old were you?
I was 16 at the time, and my parents couldn't leave within 5 miles radius of their home, so I was the oldest one at home at the time, and I didn't drive very well, but I used to drive the truck across town to deliver the produce to Kyoi's farm, and they went to the market and sold the vegetables for us. Yeah, I think around May, or in March, I was 16, but I had enough credits to graduate high school, so I quit going to school to help my parents out. And then I received my diploma in camp. They just handed us our diploma. There were 6 of us from Modesto High School. And we were evacuated in, I think, May of '42. So my sister was in college at UC Berkeley at the time, so she came home to help us get our things together to move. We had about 1 month in order to get rid of our things. We stored our things we lived on the Pelly farm, and our landlord was the nicest lady. She tried to help us best she could. And then, so Mie came home, Nobu came home. Mako had gotten married several years before the war broke out to George Kioi, and she was married at 17. Well, when we evacuated, our oldest brother, we called him Hope, his name was Harold, was in the service. He had volunteered just before Pearl Harbor because he knew that he was going to be drafted. So he and my neighbor, Mas Yamate, volunteered. So he was in the Army. He came home on leave to drive us to the bus station where we were supposed to meet and be taken to Merced Assembly Center. It was kind of sad. He was in uniform, and then he had to help put us behind the barbed wire fence. And so there was a tragic thing that happened in our life. That I felt sorry for our parents because they've been in the United States for close to 30 years, and they weren't able to become citizens. And they had worked so hard to get where they were. My father could just year before was able to afford to buy a car so we could ride in style to church like young ladies. And so they lost everything. We were renting a farm because you couldn't buy, the Issei's couldn't buy property. And so I felt sorry for the parents more than us. We could always survive. So after being in Merced for close to a year, we were transferred to Colorado, to Camp Amache. It was in the middle of a desert. When the wind blew, the sand came in under the windows and doors, And it was a huge camp. It had about 8,000 people in it from mostly around, well, I guess from LA and Modesto, Merced, Livingston, all that area. In camp, the family just went about their own ways. We never ate together as a family. Part of the family ate together, but there were things going on, all the different activities, and I would go with my friends and eat in their camp sometime, in their mess hall, and they never kept track of us. I worked in a canteen selling tobacco and candy, and then I worked there for several months, and then I got a job in a dry cleaning store with my friend Fumi. After camp, I was in camp for about a year, and then I got a chance to go out, get a pass, and work outside the camp. So I went to Boulder, Colorado, where they had a Japanese language school for the Navy. So they hired some of us from camp to work in the dining room and help serve at the Naval Language School. So George and Mako had gone out to Boulder several months before that, and so my mother approved of me going out there. And we had fun, and there was a group of Japanese from the camp. And so I made some friends there. I lived there about 6 months, and then my oldest sister, Mie, had gotten accepted to University of Maryland in College Park. And so she, in turn, would get the clearance and passes for us to get out of camp one at a time. And eventually she got us all out. And then our parents, she found a place for them on a farm at Seabrook, Maryland, for with this couple. He worked for the agriculture department, and they had a cabin on their farm. It wasn't that large of a farm, but my father planted vegetables, enough for them to eat. They didn't sell any. And then my mother cooked and cleaned house for this couple. And I'm not sure how long they stayed at Seabrook, but the man died suddenly, and so they had to leave that place. And they found a job at Seabrook Farms, frozen food place in New Jersey, Bridgeton, New Jersey. And George and Mako were there already. So they kind of looked after them.
What were you doing there?
They were working in the food plant.
No, what were you doing?
What was I doing? I was in nursing school at University of Maryland in Baltimore. And on my summer vacation, I went to Seabrook Farms to visit my parents. And I had about a month vacation, so I got a job working in the plant also. It was fun for me because I knew I didn't have to do it all the time. And first time I saw frozen food being made. And so I would, my job was watch the machine so that it ran smoothly. If there were any defective boxes or something that would block the I don't know what you call it, assembly line, then I would have to straighten it out. And it wasn't a hard job, but I got paid for it. That's where I got my social security number.